If there is one thing that can be said about Canadians, is that our open-wheel driver market is incredibly strong. On the Formula One side, Canadians watched as Jacques Villeneuve raced his way to the 1997 F1 World Championship, while now in 2020, Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi proudly wear the maple leaf on the grid. While on the Indycar side, guys like James Hinchcliffe, Alex Tagliani, and Robert Wickens were among some of the heavy hitters in the series. However, there was a series where it seemed like every week Canadians were dominating in the rankings, a series where Patrick Carpentier, Greg Moore, and Scott Goodyear ran circles around the competition. In 1991, a young Canadian from the town of Scarborough would make his series debut in CART, and as time would go on, he would become one of Canada's most fierce and controversial competitors. I'm Alex Gallagher, and on this special 10th edition of After the Flag, we have a lot to celebrate. I'd like to thank everyone for helping me pass 10,000 video views here on the channel, and as a special celebration, I will be covering a driver suggested to me by one of my viewers. Suggested by user Marcus Wong, I will be analyzing the career of Canada's ChampCar bad boy, the thrill from West Hill, none other than Paul Tracy himself. A driver who shattered records in his junior career, and once he hit the big leagues, wasn't afraid to do whatever it took to get the victory. Sit back, strap in, and put on your favorite fire suit, because our story begins at one of Canada's premier karting venues. Tracy hails from West Hill, a neighborhood in the Toronto suburb of Scarborough. Getting his start racing go-karts at Goodwood Kartways at the age of 16, Tracy would become the youngest Canadian Formula Ford champion ever. Moving up to the American Racing Series in 1998, Tracy would turn heads. Winning in his series debut at Phoenix during the 1990 season, Tracy would show why he is a kart-worthy talent. As a young 22-year-old, Tracy would find himself dominating the series. Scoring an insane 9 wins, Tracy would win the championship quite convincingly over Ted Prappis, with a staggering margin of victory of over 79 points. Tracy would rent out a Dale Coyne Racing entry for the second race of the CART season at Long Beach. Despite finishing 22nd, Tracy would get noticed by the captain himself, Roger Penske, who would sign Tracy to become their test driver. Tracy's Penske debut would get off to a rough start, where after a third lap crash at Michigan, Tracy would suffer a broken leg and be on the sidelines for 4 races. Tracy would recover and go on to substitute for Rick Mears in 11 races the following year. Tracy would also get his revenge at Michigan, where he would go on to log his first podium finish in second. He would also collect another second at Mid-Ohio, a third at Nazareth, and his first pole position at Road America. In 1993, Roger Penske would give Tracy his first chance at a full season following the retirement of Rick Mears. And when I say Tracy impressed, boy, do I mean it. Despite 2 DNFs to start the season, Tracy would score his first win in only his 18th career start. For most of the day in Long Beach, Tracy battled with former F1 driver Nigel Mansell. The race was packed full of strange incidents where on lap 25, Tracy clipped wheels with Danny Sullivan, forcing Tracy to pit from the lead with a puncture. On lap 61, another tire problem would force Tracy to pit again. However, after Mansell lost second gear, Tracy would be able to cruise to his first CART victory, leading 81 laps.
Paul Tracy makes a turn onto the straightaway. The checkered flag will lie just ahead. And Paul Tracy has finally done it. He wins an Indycar race. Paul Tracy becomes a champion in the Indycars. The 10th different driver to win in a Penske car, and Paul Tracy has done it.
Tracy added 4 more wins in 1993, coming at Cleveland, Road America, Laguna Seca, and for the first time in his career, he would win a big league event at his home race in Toronto. Between 1994 and 1996, Tracy would log 5 wins, winning at Nazareth and Laguna Seca in 1994, and Surfers Paradise and Milwaukee in 1995. However, Tracy would run the 1995 season with a different team, that being Newman Haas. You see, Roger Penske attempted to transfer Tracy's contract to Bettenhausen Racing, wanting to return to a 2-car team. However, Tracy's eagle-eyed dad noticed that in his contract it stated that Penske wasn't allowed to transfer Tracy, so in a bind, Penske allowed Tracy to sign with Newman Haas while retaining his option for the following year. While all of this was going on, Tracy got an offer from Benetton F1 to test with them at Estoril in Portugal. With guidance from legendary Michael Schumacher, Tracy would go on to log a time 7/10 off Gerhard Berger's pole time for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Tracy was actually quicker than both of Benetton's current drivers JJ Leto and Jos Verstappen. Obviously impressed, Benetton attempted to offer Tracy a contract to drive with the team. However, Tracy was less than impressed with the restrictive deal that didn't even guarantee him a seat at the end of the day. Tracy would take his talents back to North America and run in the 1995 season in CART. Penske would bring back Tracy for 1996, but the reunion would be short-lived. Going winless and scoring a best finish of 3rd, Tracy was furious with the quality of the cars he was given. Sticking it out for one more year, 1997 would be a roller coaster ride. Starting the season out with a second at Miami and 3 consecutive wins at Nazareth, Rio de Janeiro, and Gateway, Tracy would struggle for the rest of the season, eventually finishing 5th in the standings. After a disappointing 10th place in Toronto, Tracy would be very vocal about the shortcomings of his Penske team. Citing an outdated chassis and poor tire quality, Penske would go on to release Tracy at the end of the season due to these comments. Between 1998 and 2002, Tracy would race for Team Cool Green. Scoring 6 wins during his time there, Tracy's 2002 season would be marred by some more controversy. Tracy's CART team decided to field Tracy in the 2002 Indianapolis 500. Starting that race in the middle of the 10th row alongside Ayrton Derry and then rookie Dario Franchitti, despite starting in the back, Tracy and his teammate Franchitti raced their way through the field. On lap 173, race leader Thomas Schecker crashed, handing the lead to Helio Castroneves. With Franchitti being a lap down, he managed to pull ahead of the leaders and inadvertently threw a massive block on second place Felipe Giafone, which allowed Tracy to slip by and hound Castroneves for the lead. On lap 199, it seemed like Tracy was going to get the pass done on Castroneves, and he did. However, there was a slight problem. In the back of the field, rookie Laurent Redon tangled with Buddy Lazier, bringing out the race-ending caution. While race control was reporting Castroneves was in the lead, the TV crews were clearly showing that Tracy had overtaken the Penske car. Tracy began to celebrate, but his team advised him the finish was under review. As the TV crews worked to find an angle of both the pass and the crash, everyone was confused as to how they judged what had happened. Indy cars didn't race back to the line like in NASCAR. The field was supposed to be frozen at the exact moment of the yellow. Or did it revert back to the last completed lap? Nobody really had any clue what was going on. Despite ABC showing the crash happened before the pass, nowhere in the video did it show the caution being displayed or the caution lights coming on. Regardless, IndyCar declared the pass wouldn't count and Castroneves would win by a margin of 0.0371 seconds, claiming that the call was made by race control to put up the yellow. Team Green owner Barry Green immediately filed a protest against the finish, with Tracy sarcastically expressing that IndyCar would never let a CART team win the Indy 500.
I didn't have a great car today, but at the end there I caught Helio on the last lap. I passed him on the back straightaway going into 3. I passed him around the outside and came around, and they said that it was under yellow, but I didn't see the green was still up. In my eyes, I saw the green, and so we're going to protest and see what happens, because I feel that I was ahead of him when it went yellow, so we'll just have to wait and see.
In the aftermath, Team Green appealed the decision to Tony George, the Speedway president, on June 17th. George upheld the decision on July 2nd, stating that Team Green had failed to provide the necessary evidence to reverse the call and that Castroneves was clearly in front. Tracy and Team Green both believed the decision was politically motivated due to CART and IndyCar being rival leagues after the 1996 open-wheel split. Tracy swore he would never race an IndyCar again, and when asked by a reporter in 2003 if he would ever consider returning in 2004, Tracy responded by saying, and I quote, "I'm not driving one of those crap wagons." Going back to CART for 2003, Tracy would replace Alex Tagliani at the Players Forsyth team, pairing with teammate Patrick Carpentier. It was a match made in heaven. Tracy would start the season with 3 straight wins at St. Petersburg, Monterrey in Mexico, and Long Beach. The best race of the season would come at his home Grand Prix in Toronto. Starting from the pole, Tracy would dominate the race. In a standout performance, Tracy led all 112 laps to claim victory by a margin of 4.5 seconds over Michel Jourdain Jr.
And a crowd of some 73,000 people, predominantly pro-Canadian, will come to their feet to welcome home native son Paul Tracy from Toronto, who will win.
You are the king of Toronto, man. Great job. Yeah, that a boy. Good.
Scoring back-to-back wins with a win the following week in Vancouver, Tracy logged the final wins at Mid-Ohio and Mexico City. Come the series' penultimate race in Surfer's Paradise, Tracy would finish 13th. However, he would have enough points to claim the series title one race early, and for the first time in his career, Tracy would hoist the Vanderbilt Cup.
I mean, there was so much in that race. It could have gone either way, but at the end of the day, it's panned out in your favour and in favour of the Forsyth team. Just tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to thank the team. They got the car running again. And, the job that they've done for me this year, Jerry Forsyth and Bob Bexton and everything that they've done for this team, you can see how happy the guys are. They've worked so long, and I've worked so long to get to this point. It's just fantastic.
After the final race of the season in Fontana was canceled due to the ongoing wildfires, Tracy would officially be awarded the championship at season's end. This would also mark the final season of CART, as in 2004 they would become the ChampCar World Series. Tracy's 2004 and 2005 would prove decent as he scored 4 wins, coming at Long Beach and Vancouver in 2004 and Milwaukee and Cleveland in 2005. However, 2006 would mark the season where Tracy's bad boy status would come into full force. During the San Jose Grand Prix, Tracy would spin off the track into a runoff area. However, as Tracy re-entered the track, he would mistakenly enter the racing line of Alex Tagliani. The two drivers smashed into each other, which took them both out of the race. Tagliani raced to confront Tracy, which led to the two drivers getting into a fist fight before being separated by ChampCar officials.
Wow. Confrontation behind the wall.
And Tracy had no answer. He had no answer for Tagliani's questions.
Tag was smart. He kept his helmet on. ChampCar officials on pit road.
Okay.
Fisticuffs break out behind the wall. Bourdais is stopping his second stop of the day.
The following week in Denver, Tracy would have another run-in with a French driver. This time, it would be Sébastien Bourdais. While fighting for second on the last lap, Tracy would see an opening and go for it, slamming into Bourdais and taking them both out of the race.
Tracy was beaten. He knew that. Bourdais goes down the outside. He's got more power. He's got 75 horsepower more. Now he's home and dry. Tracy said, I'm going to make it. I'm going to try it. I'll lock it up. Lock it up. Oh, bang. Smash down the inside. What's going to happen here? How can he explain this?
Bourdais would angrily confront Tracy and shove him. Tracy took off his helmet and threatened to fight Bourdais, who hastily retreated. This incident put Tracy on probation and sparked a media hellstorm. Bourdais and Tagliani made remarks against Tracy, with Tracy responding by calling them both out for not taking their helmets off when confronting him. Come Montreal, and tensions were high. Bourdais, Tagliani, and rookie Andrew Ranger would call for the Quebec fans to boo Tracy. Tracy would eventually win the hearts back of the Quebec fans by wearing a blue luchador mask with a Quebec flag cape during pre-race intros.
Type of thing.
I'm just having fun with it. I've been booed up here since 1985 when I first started racing up here. I had an accident with a guy, a local Montreal guy, Claude Bourbonnais, who was very quick in Atlantics and did some ChampCar racing. Him and I got into an accident, and I ended up winning the race. And then, I couldn't get out in my car fast enough to get across to the Ontario border, so we pretty much got chased out of town, and we've been kind of unwelcome ever since.
Tracy finished second, and the fans applauded as he wore his Quebec flag on the podium. Tracy would be injured in an ATV accident later that season and end up missing Mexico City, as well as Long Beach and Houston in 2007 from an unrelated incident. Tracy's final ChampCar win came at Cleveland in 2007. Leading 3 times for 26 laps, Tracy would beat Robert Dornbos by half a second to claim his 31st and final win.
Tracy, final couple of corners. Here comes PT headed for the line of the checkers. Dornbos, does he jump on the button? No, he doesn't. Tracy. And the checkered flag waves, and Paul Tracy somehow takes the victory in Cleveland.
Upon the merger of the Indy Racing League and ChampCar, Tracy and his team had no intentions of joining the league. IRL president Tony George even offered Tracy a ride personally with KVSH Racing, which Tracy accepted after some initial hesitation. Tracy would go on to run 19 more races from 2008 to 2011, with Tracy's best finish being a 4th in Edmonton in 2008. Tracy retired from open wheel racing after being involved in the pileup that claimed the life of Dan Wheldon in the 2011 finale at Las Vegas. Losing Wheldon gave Tracy a perspective on the value of his own life, and as a result, Tracy stated, "I've made my money, and I don't need to race anymore." Alongside his open wheel success, Tracy has tried his hand at a bunch of other motorsports as well. Tracy ran 6 NASCAR Busch Series races in 2006, as well as a one-off truck race in 2008. He also attempted the Rolex 24 3 times with an additional 10 IMSA starts. His most recent form of racing was in Robbie Gordon's Stadium Super Trucks. Tracy ran 5 races, all coming at Toronto, with a best finish of 4th in 2014. Tracy now serves as one of the lead analysts on NBC Sports' coverage of the NTT Indycar series alongside Townsend Bell and Lee Diffie. Tracy also tried his hand at becoming a professional mountain bike racer using nearly a $500,000 bike developed by Yeti Cycles and Kaiser Aerospace. Tracy is one of Canada's most Ironman drivers. He was fast, successful, and never afraid to speak his mind. While I would have loved to have seen Tracy come back to NASCAR, it is clear that in CART and ChampCar, he will forever be known as a champion. Tracy was definitely a driver that I looked up to a lot as a kid, so hopefully one day I'll be able to meet him in my travels. And that's all I got. Thank you so much for joining me on this special 10th edition of After the Flag. I'm so sorry for the lengthy delay, but I hope that this video makes up for it. I would like to take the time to thank all of our frontline workers for all of their hard work during this pandemic. I'm Alex Gallagher. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like what you see, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, as it really does help my channel out. I have a lot more videos planned for the future, so stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.